इतना सफर है कुछ होने में और बहुत कुछ होने में। इतना सा फर्क है एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में कि अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी कि एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानपुर से दूर अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और 7वें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
Good afternoon, one and all. Thank you so much, Dheeraj, for playing the corporate brand image video of Franchise India, which truly depicts the kind of the value, passion, and vision we follow. Franchise India is the first company to introduce and develop franchisee market in India. We completely focus on franchisee ecosystem for, it's been almost 22 years. We are following the same passion. Franchise India is Asia's largest integrated franchise solution company, and we absolutely enjoyed authority on franchising, licensing, retailing, and real estate. We have helped thousands of investors in selecting the right business opportunity while assisting numerous organizations for their international and domestic franchisee expansion. We welcome each one of you to 144th edition of Business Opportunity Over Chai series. This is an initiative which we took almost 7 months back, where our aim is to present the brand of the day. This is a digital platform where the brand will talk about their end-to-end franchisee model. We do not endorse any particular brand. We welcome our panel member, management team of Franchise India, Mr. Gaurav Maria and Ms. Sonia Chaudhary. During the course of the webinar, they'll be talking and sharing their advice, word of caution with each one of us. We'll first start with the formal presentation from the brand side, then we'll move to question and answer session and the closing remarks. The brand of the day today is Linen Club, the brand which comes from Aditya Birla Group. They are the leading manufacturer of 100% pure linen fabric for more than 60 years, largest chain of selling exclusive branded stores for linen. They are known for their best product in category and widest range. They are running 200 plus stores pan-India. With this introduction, we welcome the team of Linen Club, Mr. Pankaj Agarwal, who is a VP Sales and Marketing, along with Mr. Saurabh Sinha, Head Retail Business. Thank you so much, Jatin, Saurabh, and Mr. Pankaj joining us today. Over to you to present your franchisee model with each one of us. But before that, we would like to play a small, beautiful video on your brand.
Our story begins in the flax fields of Europe, the birthplace of the finest fabric in the world. This is where a modest plant holds the truth to something extraordinary. And this is our inspiration. The flax stalk and flower symbolize the origin of linen. They represent the authenticity behind creating a truly unique fabric. Our rich heritage is symbolized by a shield, an icon of authority, strength, and power. established in 1949. The mark of India's #1 linen brand. A brand that creates over 3,000 designs every year. Our new chapter begins with these symbols coming together to create one that showcases our passion for linen. A symbol that defines who we are. Linen Club, passionate like you.
Thank you so much, Dheeraj. Over to you, Mr. Agarwal, Mr. Sinha.
Thank you so much, Archana. Just give me a moment to share the screen. I think I have some glitch over here. Are you able to see my screen?
No, Pankaj, we can't see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. So good afternoon and namaskar everybody who has taken the pain on a Sunday afternoon to be with us. So on behalf of Aditya Birla Group and Franchise India, I thank you for the time that you are making on this Sunday afternoon in the interest of both us as well as you. And I understand this video was very inspiring. मैंने भी पढ़ा तो फर्क है. Yes, I think most of the people who have joined aspiration to become a businessman, and I think when you take your first baby step, the aspiration is to link up with the correct brand and go forward in a manner where you do well, and then you grow the business further into a larger business. So I think itna sa to fark hai from being an aspiring businessman, an entrepreneur, to becoming an entrepreneur, and then making enough money to become an investor. So I think that's what this talk is all about today, in being able to reach out to you all and share with you all the opportunity that Linen Club has. Linen Club is from the house of Aditya Birla, and I will assume that not everybody knows the strength and might of Aditya Birla, and Aditya Birla is spread across various brands, various domains. The ones that you would know of is our Ultratech Cement, Hindalco, and you would know our retail brands, which are Van Heusen, Louis Philippe, Alan Solly, Pantaloons, and Linen Club. So all these are from the house of Aditya Birla, the more known names. Liva is something which some of you would have heard of. Jatin, Saurav and me are associated with Linen Club. And Linen Club has been there for a while. We are almost from the independence era that Linen Club has been there as fabric. And we are a fabric cum apparel brand. And the reason we have chosen to partner Franchise India and reach out to you is not because we want quantity of partners on board. Quantity is easy to find. We want quality not to be compromised as we go for quantity. We have made rapid progress. My colleague Saurav has headed all this in the last few years. And there have been more than 30 or 40 stores that have got added over the last 2 years. And that's an easy momentum for us to maintain. COVID has been kind to us. We have done well and we've bounced back faster than most other brands in COVID. And we think that the next couple of years, we are poised for strong growth. So while we look for partners, we want to partner with Franchise India to reach to a larger base of franchise partners who may be wanting to work with us, as well as validate that we don't just have investors. And only investors, it doesn't make sense. I'm saying this in the beginning because we want to be very sure of the people we partner. If you have the time, then you get into the business. Otherwise, you stay away from it, because we have noticed from whatever work we've done with our partners, and Saurav will talk more about it. Wherever the person is more involved, अपने पैसे लगे हैं उसमें, तो अगर आपकी नजर अपने पैसों पे है, तो उसके बढ़ने के chances ज्यादा होते हैं. So we are looking for entrepreneurs. इतना सा फर्क है. We are not looking for money. If we wanted, we could have opened our own stores, or we have enough people who are investors who can open stores with us. We are looking for people who are what's written behind us, passionate like you. So we want people who are passionate like us in growing the business. We want to grow the business together, and we want to ensure that you make money and we make money, and we do what we are set out for a larger goal. And we will take questions as we move on. And I'll hand the baton on to my colleague Saurav, who will run you by in finer details on the brand, and then we can take the discussion thereon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Over to you, Saurav.
Thank you. So primarily talking about the brand Linen Club, we can move to the next slide. So the objective has primarily been to build a very consistent brand experience for Linen Club consumers across all the touch points, starting from our stores in every integral part, every small corner of a store should talk about the same experience that we would want to give from our to our consumers. And secondly, it is also to build a unique identifiers for Linen Club, and primarily with an objective of driving recall about the brand. So these are largely our objectives. Coming to the next slide, it is primarily what do I? It is not move. Yeah, now it has moved. So what does a new brand identity mean? We have recently changed our brand identity. Earlier, when we started off long back, if I talk about around 6-7 years back, we had a red colored signage with a white text font on front of the store facade. Subsequently, we changed our retail identity way back in 2015, wherein we came with a complete new retail identity, having a very different kind of fixtures and furniture, wherein the displays were such so that the consumers could directly interact with the product, which was imperative for us, because in our stores you can see not less than 400, 500, 600 options of fabric and approximately 100 options of garments also. So we changed our identity in 2015. We came up with a brown board. If I talk about the facade, the brown board with white text. Subsequently, of late, we have changed our logo, which we will showcase here. So the new brand identity primarily means to us the logo, the fonts, colors, and the brand guidelines that we follow. And I'll take you through each one of them in subsequent slides. So primarily, we have used our own category and brand and strengths to build the new identity for Linen Club. So our category code, since we are a complete natural fiber linen, which is natural, authentic and unique in its nature. Second thing was the brand codes that we get from Aditya Birla Group, which is leadership and our expertise of making linen. So Jayashree Textiles is a company, as Mr. Agarwal already mentioned, is a company which has been up and operational since 1949. And Jayashree Textiles is the first company in India who brought linen to India. So we have a very long heritage, more than 70 years old, of working in this particular category. And obviously the heritage that we have since 1949. So we also have our fashion codes, if I talk through, which are largely classic and contemporary. So these are the blends, I would say, which we have taken to define our new brand logo. So the inspiration behind the new brand logo has primarily been owning to the European origins. So linen is grown primarily, I mean, the best quality of linens are grown in France and Belgium, and Linen Club is one of the only companies, I would say, who procures the entire raw material from France and Belgium. So we buy fields there season on season and take the entire raw material from France and Belgium, wherein the climatic conditions suit the best for the crops to grow in the best possible manner. And the second piece is leveraging the romance of linen through celebrating its natural character. And the third piece is establishing our authority in linen by up-fronting codes of heritage and expertise, which I mentioned in my previous slide. Coming to the next part. So Linen, with its versatility, natural and sustainable origins, and functional qualities, is a fabric to reckon with the current fashion landscape. If you see in the last few years, the market share of linen overall has grown. We were till 2015 probably a chain of around 100 stores. Today we are having 200 stores pan India, and we have been growing, adding approximately 30-40 stores every year in vantage locations. So uh, this is a product which has been now being widely accepted, and we have got lot of blends also introduced in Linen Club Studio. Our apparel is a fairly new brand, and which we have been, I mean, which we have started almost 5.5, 6 years back. Uh, Coming to slide number, the next is primarily France and Belgium, which we spoke about. Coming to the next slide. So linen, if you see, it is the flowers. The inspiration behind the new logo primarily was from the different natural aspects of linen. So linen, as I said, is a primarily a naturally grown plant, and we have got the flowers of linen are lavender in color, and it turns to be meadows by the evening. Linen is a very now talking a bit more about the product. So it is a very strong fiber, lot of breathability, better than cotton, and it is also said the longer the plant, the higher the fibers would be, and the better quality of linen. So these were the inspiration. The colors that you see in this slide, living just for half a day, the elegant blue, are primarily where the inspiration where from we got our inspiration for the new logo. Talking about the expertise, so linen, as I mentioned in my previous slides, we have been manufacturing into the manufacturing of linen business for over 70 years now, and coming from Aditya Birla Group. So these are the heritage, I would say, and the brand recall. Undoubtedly, we have this advantage of coming from the house of ABG, which has already positioned and proved its leadership position in the industry. Coming to the next slide. This largely shows, on the left, you can see the one of the windows of our stores. The next slide, primarily I'll talk about the brand values, few reasons to believe, and brand differentiators. So our tagline also says, passionate like you. So we are very passionate about linen, authenticity, premiumness of linen. What is the reason to believe? There are various reasons. As mentioned, we have been crafting linen since 1949. Earlier, when we launched it, it was used primarily for industrial usage, and subsequently it came into day-to-day wear piece. This is Linen Club is a #1 linen brand in India. Approximately 50% of the market share is with us from the house of Aditya Birla Group. Brand differentiators would include heritage and expertise, certified by CELC, which is a mark of European linen. As I mentioned, we use only linen grown in France and Belgium. And we also manufacture the widest range of colors, textures, and designs. It is more than 4,000-5,000 designs is what we manufacture in fabric every year. Coming on to the next slide. So this is our origin. The left side, you can see linen plants, linen flower rather. The right side, the shield kind of shape shows our authority in the sector. And this gives birth to our new new logo of the brand. So here it goes, the new logo. So we have largely used white, beige, and teal as the color, which all are natural. If you go to a linen field, you can find this teal kind of color. Beige is something, the natural color of the fiber itself. So this is our new logo with a very slimmer font than before. And we have a few variations, which I'll show in the next slide. So yeah, we have 2-3 variations, teal with white, with teal text and beige with white background and the blue shield, teal shield rather. So these are the different colors and the logos that we use. Coming on to the next slide. Uh, so brand manifestation, as we mentioned, natural peace, authority, expertise, and premiumness. And I mentioned in my first slide that it is about all the touch points. So once we go subsequent to the subsequent slide, I'll show you the kind of trims, etc., that we use. And the idea was to owning a linen as a product, get to linen, which will come in the next slide. Owning linen as a complete mindset. So this is the change that we have tried bringing up here, that owning linen as a product, bring it into a mindset. So showing the premiumness, showing the expertise, showing the authority, etc. So Linen Club, a passionate enabler of authentic and stylish experiences. And I will show in the next slide how we are trying to materialize on it. So there are few elements like premium and luxury pure linen, premium and luxury linen blends. These are the products that we make from the house of Linen Club. We have also acquired a company called Soktas, which is one of the finest mills of manufacturing cotton last year. And we are also bringing a lot of blends, linen, cotton, etc. The other piece is styling and tailoring services, which is mandatory for all our EBOs. And also in the subsequent slide, we will show you. Lost my screen. Yeah. So the idea was how the question came to us, how the new identity will manifest across various touch points. So we had various pieces starting from the number one, retail experience. Retail stores, the EBOs, exclusive branded stores, are the first point of communication with the consumer. Second was adding every element of premiumness into the packaging. Third was marketing communication. Everything should be in sync and all the communications would be in the same manner so that it talks about, we connect all the dots together. And then it was website going digital and on the social media as well. So going to the next slide, where I will talk largely on the retail footprint. So as Archana also mentioned, we have approximately 200 stores pan India and counting. Approximately there are many in pipeline also. Soon in the month of October, we will be opening 4 to 5 more stores. And the penetration is around 20 in North, 22 in East, 47 in West, and about approximately 100 plus stores in South as well. Largely a franchise driven model. You can see the number of COCO stores are few. And it is a largely franchise driven model because we believe that retail is more of a local local business, and we need partners who understands their geography better than us. Pay attention on the store, as Mr. Agarwal also mentioned. We do not need investors, but partners who can spend their time, give their time to the business. Coming to the next slide. So talking about the first piece, retail experience, this is how the frontage of the new identity store looks. Teal with white with the shield logo and one Aditya Birla logo that you can see on the extreme right of the picture, showing the entire window. The other pieces would be the entire experience within the store, starting from the staff uniforms to every visual merchandising piece that we implement inside the store. It talks about the heritage. We have a history wall inside the store, and I'll take you through that in the next slides. So this is the interior of a Linen Club store. This is the new identity that I spoke about. We tried making the pergola structure, wherein you can see on the left of the picture with a pergola structure wherein the fabrics are displayed, and this enables the consumers to interact with the product. In the earlier traditional textile shop, it was like, show me that than, mujhe wo than dikhaiye, and मुझे तो वैसे बोलने पे कस्टमर को जो सेल्स स्टाफ्स होते थे वो दिखाते थे. We thought it is imperative for us to ensure that the consumer himself or herself interacts with the product. We have a wide range of fabric, as I mentioned. At any point of time in a store, you find more than 400 options to choose from, with inserting, suiting, lot of blends. On the right, you see the ready-made display, and we also have a lot of ingredients that talk about linen. If you see a chandelier shaped thing on the top, it is a linen fabric actually. Inside it is lit, it is a linen fabric kind of chandelier. Second, as I spoke about the uniform, so this is going to be our color, a teal top with a beige bottom for our in-store staffs, talking the same language. Going to the next slide about packaging. So we have fabrics, and we have, when I say studio packaging, it is more of a linen club apparels. We have various trims, tags, labels, which all goes in sync with the brand imagery. Very subtle, and so it does not give that, what to say, it doesn't lose its premiumness, it still gives an impact. So all the logos are embroidery on the garments. And coming to the next slide. So packaging, these are the various tags, etc., that you can see that we have started using, the new ones. The hangers on the right top with Linen Club branding and the logo embossed on it. Going to the next slide. A few marketing collaterals here. So on the left, on the center, you can see this is the communication that we used when we reopened after COVID. So taking all the safety precautions, I must highlight that there was a very detailed SOP manual shared with all our franchise partners. We made a very detailed one with the help of marketing and HR as well, as in what all safety measures were kind of mandatory at that juncture. We are still doing that. So this is one of the marketing collaterals. Advertising is in similar fonts, in-shop branding, post material, and product talkers. So few examples to show you. And coming to the next slide. This is about digital. So we are pretty active on Insta, Facebook, Twitter, etc., on all the social media, and we have also started our e-com, doing pretty decent there. We have a very robust mechanism of customer loyalty scheme that also we run, decent point structure for the consumers, a reason for him or her to come back to us. So all that is being done digitally. A lot of digital integrations we have done in the past also. We have tied up, and we are doing WhatsApp sales also. Various brands have started. We have started it pretty early, and I must inform that the results were actually very good, better than what we had expected. Going to the next piece, I'm ending towards the end of the presentation. So here I'll talk a bit about the investment. So we largely tend to open stores which are kind of 800,000 square feet at max. On the interior, by and large, it costs around 20 lakhs for 800 square feet. That is 2,500 rupees per square feet. The first stocks would be, to fill the store, would be approximately 3,000 rupees per square feet. So 24 lakhs for 800. The brand takes a security deposit of 10 lakhs. So the total investment would be approximately 55 lakhs for a 800 square feet store. Coming to the margin structure, it would be 50 to 55% on fabric, depends on various qualities. EBOs get additional discounts on fabric as against other channels, and hence their margin structure is better. For apparels, it is 34% during full price and ranges between 20 to 25% during USS. Fabric, just to inform you, we do not run any USS. ROI is targeted at EBITDA level. I am talking approximately 35 to 40% is what we target, so that the cash flow becomes free from, say, if it is 40%, 2.5 years, 30 to 30 months. Yeah. So 3 years approximately, the cash flow becomes positive. Coming to the support from the brands. So we support in CAPEX, and wherein we pay approximately 155 rupees per square feet for 5 years. So for 800 square feet, it will add up to 1.24 lakhs per annum. Launch ad and additional ad support is also what we give. So any new store that we open, we provide a ad support, and subsequently during festivals, key festivals of that particular geography, we keep on doing certain ads. Other small things would comprise of stationery, staff training, signage letter, staff uniform, etc. that the brand provides on a regular basis. Few other details. So how the booking happens, we do a quarterly booking at various locations. Largely 3 are within India, and 1 of the conferences we do outside of India. We have provisions for digital booking also. And there would be a visit of sales personnel on monthly basis for booking with samples of ready stock. Whatever is readily available and needed by the franchises, the store managers, they can block and book. Second was also regarding a query about the returns. So we allow 3.5% on value of fabric for fabric, and 10% for apparels on value basis. I must highlight here that on fabric we allow even 10% for the first purchase, but from subsequent purchases it would be 3.5% is what we follow. Tailoring is something which is mandatory. We have got a vendor based out of Hyderabad that supplies us with the well-defined trims for Linen Club, wherein the buttons etc. would have that Linen Club embossing onto it. Lining for jacket will have the Linen Club branding. So franchisees do need to purchase from him. They also supply with the best quality of thread. So linen, you must be aware that requires hard ironing. Usage of low quality threads won't work here because it burns. So there are few good brands that provide wherein the threads don't burn. Gutterman is one of the brands, and this vendor supplies with all that threads and trims that is required, and that goes well with the fabric as well as with the brand. And also the franchises need to have either their own setup of tailoring. So every store offers tailoring services, either your own setup or you can tie up with a tailoring unit, which is mandatory for a EBO franchisee. Marketing requirements, as I mentioned, ad support during launch and festivals, and during the launch on certain occasions where we do press meet etc., we send out the gifts for media. So thank you so much, and happy to take questions.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you for a wonderful presentation, and thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, Jatin, for joining us for the presentation today. So I'll start with a few questions, and then we'll get into asking questions from the audience and so forth. So we've seen, the presence of Linen Club being very concentrated. Largely in some markets we have more concentration, and some market we are lesser penetrated. Would you like to tell us, the audience, that why this happened, and now I think the business is transforming and we're becoming much more all-round player, and a lot of people thought that this is very clearly a summer product where summer dominance was more higher there. How this is changing, how the consumer's piece is changing, and which would become your core focus markets now going forward?
Do you want me to take that question, sir? Okay. So, when we started that's a very good question, Gaurav. And when we started the business in the last century, so to say, we've been quite long in this business. It was more a fabric dominated business, and it was retail, I think, is as young as just about 2 decades back. In the 90s is when retail started. Till then, while we were growing up, and I'm reasonably old, we would buy our kapda from cloth merchants and get them tailored, and that was the way of business in the past. We decided to go retailing only a few years back. Earlier, it was only to wholesalers that we sold. And when we went to retailers, linen is otherwise an expensive fabric, and it is not comparable to cotton for its various properties. So when we went there, the south climate is more conducive to linen because it doesn't get cold in the winters. So you can see a lot of dominance that is there in the south. Also, what happened is by virtue of the fabric and its purity and its cost, it got related more to politicians in the past. But over time, if you see overseas, Southeast Asia, or countries which have a humid weather comparable to India, you could see that it's a fashion statement to be wearing linen. And hence, it started moving to the other areas. Now, if you go to North has two wardrobes, a winter wardrobe and a summer wardrobe. And we don't think we had enough that we had invested in the winter wardrobe. So what we've done over the last 2 years is winters typically for India is festival. Your Diwali, Dashera sits in winter. And a large amount of festivals like Ganpati in Bombay or some other festival, Pujo in Calcutta, all these are winter dominated festivals. So we are expanding our presence in products in these areas, which are July to December centric in terms of ethnic and festive, all that range that will come in. And linen, we also, what we've not mentioned in this deck is that we also own a company called Vikram Woolens. It's one of the dominating partners in the woolen industry. So we are also foraying into some winter wear, which we will launch this year in selected stores in Delhi and NCR and in the north. So we think we are prepared to make this dive, and it's a product which is well received by our partners in UP and the north. And we think we are wanting, and that is one of the primary reasons we want to go wider, and we are wanting to go north and east in expanding our assortment.
Excellent. I think this is also shows about how the evolution of a company is moving from being a distribution and trade company to really becoming a label. And I think they went from predominantly distribution to, I think, retail and retail to label, because the current logo evolution and businesses, and I think that they're becoming more aspirational label, which people would wear. And this is a big difference. You can be a great retailer, but that doesn't mean that people still want to wear you in that. So there's a big evolution of the company, which is why I think it's a very difficult evolution. I should congratulate the team, which is on the panel. They worked very hard and hired multiple firms and multiple great consulting firms which have come along to really do this whole evolution structure from a retail identity experience. Every smallest touch point has really moved towards to being a mature fashion brand. So I think from a just being a fabric company to a fashion brand, I think that journey is looking to get done. And also, I like about the business is that because this is a very leadership business. In a lot of businesses which you see would hit fatigue. Some businesses would last, especially in the slow fashion space, for very, very long. The entire fashion space is divided into what I call slow fashion and fast fashion. Fast fashion is always changing, always on the entire thing. And slow fashion is some people which has a very strong capability in terms of product leadership, or people would just go extra mile to buy that because they wear only that, or they prefer you better than anybody else on the market. So there is a greater opportunity in this space. Now let's go on to the from a target group viewpoint. How is the target group changing, and how would you like to change? Because sometimes a lot of brands which have linen is like that, and other fabric companies also have had a very different target group to versus what needs to be done. Is there conscious effort for us to really go and make it even more younger as we go along? And as Senwan, what is the strategy on that?
Yeah, so I'll take this one also. Yes, the aim is to go younger, definitely, because linen has been perceived as more an uncle brand, which is, you have to have arrived in life and be able to afford linen. And that is when you can buy linen. So we are going more younger. You'll see quite a few of our fits are younger, where we want to give the youth an option. When we make apparel, that's where we want the younger generation to come in. The younger generation is not used to stitching their clothes. They're used to picking up apparel off the shelf. So that is also another strategy that we are playing. And the third one that we're doing is we're bringing in blends, which is a blend of cotton and linen. For example, some people who are in the corporate world and in corporate jobs, or even otherwise, they don't like the crushed look, Whereas there are certain lovers of linen who love the crushed look. I mean, I could tell you once you start wearing linen, you will not like any other fabric in summer. So we are getting the blends in for the affordability, and we are also launching something called the wrinkle free for people who want the linen look but don't want their fabric to wrinkle. So we want to widen the base in terms of age and psychographics and demographics, and we want to bring a newer customer in and a younger customer in. So the channels of distribution also of retail are changing. We'll get into more formats. As you see in a couple of months, you will see this actually unfolding in the market. So yes, we're going broader.
Absolutely, and I think that's very reflective of how the brand and positioning is, and it is how it is shifting. Now, a next question, staying on the business itself, is what is a mix today for stores from a fabric tailoring to which is more of your bespoke business to your over the ready to wear kind of a, what is the sales mix, and how do you think in next 2 to 3 years sales mix would change?
So it is going up the value chain. Right now, the mix is around 80-20, 80 is fabric and 20 is apparel. But as you move up the value chain, you want to go, and apparel is here to stay, and apparel is the future. So we see this mix changing very sharply and exponentially over the coming years, and that's what we've seen in the recent past. I may not be able to share more numbers with you, but it's definitely evolving towards more of apparel and less of fabric. But fabric will stay. It will be the mainstay for the business for some time.
Absolutely. Now shifting to a little bit of financial modeling, while I think it was beautifully explained, and good thing is that it's still fabric is big because fabric gives you big margin and higher ticket, and purchase value also. When people take a fabric, they normally would order more rather than just buying a one piece of garment. They would actually end up doing more. So the cycles would be much bigger in that sense, and if you are using a particular tailoring and you have a size there, then it becomes a subscriber base, which means that you go back to the same place because that has your size and had you got a stitch, and you continue to do that. And this is one of the areas which I felt that a lot of fashion brand lack, because they don't have a subscriber base. So they always continue to excite customer to come back. But if you deliver a good product to somebody, and if they start buying from you, they will continue to come back to you. So that's how people would do that. And I know people who have got their suits done from one place for 20 years. They would continue to go to the same place back and back over and again and make a consumption. So it's a good business from that perspective, and especially for, I think, particular cities, I think it can be a tremendous opportunity. Let's go on a financial model. You said there too, and people are asking about, stock to turnover kind of a ratio. Let's talk about that, because in any retail business, the entire thumb rule is about stock to turnover ratios and cycle of consumption. So fashion largely would work on 4 cycles in a year. What are we seeing here? Because fabric is different. Fabric cannot be treated in the same manner as other fashion brands. What are our cycle of stock to turnover ratios?
So let me take this one. So fabric largely, the fashion doesn't change in fabric as far as it changes in garments, because fabric is more of a construction. A white fabric can be shown in a very formal looking shirt, and it can be shown in a very casual looking shirt. Also depends on what kind of threads are being used and how is the construction of that particular garment. So coming to the stock turn ratio, first question. In apparel, it is approximately 2.5 at this time, and in fabric, it is 1.7, 1.8. However, the brand has worked towards it, and we are, irrespective of higher margins, we are trying to make it better by reducing, especially in case of EBOs, wherein the idea for the merchandisers is also to ensure that the freshness of the store is always maintained. So in order to do that, fast fashion articles, we are reducing the thon lengths. So earlier it would be a 12-meter thon for high fashion articles, which we think would go a very, for example, maybe a print which has come for the festives may not work after the festival is gone. So there we are providing with a 5.1 or a 6-meter thon length. Vis-a-vis a core product like a white or a blue shirt, we are still providing a longer thon length. Stock turns in a lot of stores have improved also. We have test bases of 3, but yeah, currently to answer, it would be around 2.53 in ready-made apparel and 1.7, 1.8 in case of fabric.
Very helpful. And you said that in the fabric, when you start, because you don't know what works in your market and colors and everything, they would do a 10% stock correction.
Correct. That
And
is for the first purchase. Yeah.
yeah, and then later it will go to 3.5%, which is very reasonable because most of the times the in the fabric side, this nothing really changes so much. Large part of that already what works and what doesn't work. First time, obviously, you would need to know your trends in your neighborhood. What
Exactly.
are people buying? I mean, if you have a lot of office wear people, then they have more colors which would work on the office and things like that. If you have a particular other environment, then the different colors would work and things like that. So you can do your stock correction in the first time, and that as you stabilize, then you can get some to that. So 55% is the margin on. And this question I want to ask you, sir, showed a variance of 50 to 55. I mean, how does that variance would work?
Okay, so fabric is a category wherein there is an ex-mill price. So let me explain it. There is an ex-mill price. EBO franchises get additional 15% discount generally on that ex-mill. And once they sell it, largely in maximum qualities, it is a 80% markup on the ex-mill. Though in certain qualities, which are very high-end qualities, very fine qualities of linen, the markup also goes up to 100%. So that is why I said it varies from 50% to 55%. And there are also, I must take this opportunity to highlight, we get very premium fabric even manufactured for Linen Club from Italy. So those fabrics, the markup obviously are very high, very fine linen, very, very fine linen.
Sure. I think it continue to ramp up the quality as the demand for the higher stitches will come in. Also, in the tailoring side, because that contributes, how much would be tailoring by revenue terms contribute?
Approximately 10%, I would say. Yeah.
10%. And that quality to ensure that the trailing is done. How does a company work on making sure that the trailing quality is to a level, because you have a very phenomenal product and leadership in the category, but how would it be that you would ensure that you're delivering a good tailoring experience, which has been a very complex to really manage. A very few companies, and I don't want to name one of the companies, actually took advantage in a main suiting business to all the other players in the market just because they had a better tailoring. So what would be your approach to it?
So see, I would define it in 3 parts. I would like to believe the consumers look for 3 things, and a good tailoring will come from 3 things. One is the craftsmanship of the tailor. Second piece is the kind of threads and materials he's using, the trims, I would say, the buttons, threads, the fusing material that uses in the collar, etc., the lining for the jacket. So these are the trims and thread piece. And the third would be the soft skills. So I was in a city in a linen club store wherein a consumer bought a fabric and he said to the tailor, "Aap sil loge achhe se?" Then I realized the soft skill improvement is also very, very important for a tailor. He must be very, very presentable, more of a stylist, I would say, than a tailor. So these are the 3 elements which we identified almost 2-3 years back and started working on that. So we, on a regular intervals, we do training for tailors also. In fact, we have a tie-up with NIFT Bangalore, NIFT, National Institute of Fashion Technology Bangalore, wherein we brought a lot of tailors from our key markets of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, etc. Few from North also. CP, we have a store in Delhi from there. And those tailors were given a 4-day workshop training in NIFT Bangalore Center. So these kind of training programs we keep on doing. Doing a program in NIFT is not only about enhancing the technical skills of the tailor. It is also about giving him that confidence that, yeah, I know, and enhancing his or her soft skills also. So these are the 3 things. Trims I already spoke about. We have a identified vendor in Hyderabad who supplies us with the right trims and threads. So training is important,
Very,
and
and this has actually been a big differentiation, and this is actually some countries have phenomenal success in that. Look at Hong Kong. Hong Kong is actually known for tailoring. So they still have the tailoring shop. Thailand, obviously European countries were always leading it. The Italians, and the French, and the UK. There is a lot of great tailoring shops, and the tailors actually are the greatest salespeople. You go to that place and buy a fabric, what they suggest you, because they would be the people who would really, they are more fashion stylists rather than just somebody who just do a job work. So it's a very, very big importance to be, any franchisee who takes in has to really focus on that, because that's going to be your, and they would create subscribers. You only go to that place because you know the tailor, and you really want him to work on that and what kind of a product he needs to do. So now I'd like to invite Sonia to really take up questions, and Sonia, if you can go on to the importance of what cities they want to really handpick and say there are low-hanging fruits which are always there. What are those low-hanging fruits?
Okay. I'd like to thank you, Saurabh. I think all these questions have been very elaborately discussed both in the presentation and while in the Q&A. But I'll quickly pick maybe a few questions which need maybe detailed understanding. And I see that coming from many audience as well. So going back on the investment, there's an overall investment of 54 lakhs that we talked about. I see some questions which are coming on the rent, working capital. If you can even expand, what kind of expenses are not considered in this 54 lakhs? Like you talked about even the setup which is required for tailoring. Is that out of 54 lakhs? What kind of deposit typically, one is expected to put in? I understand Bangalore or South markets have a higher deposit, which goes from 6 to 9 months, and North comparatively it is less. So if you can give some guidance on the investment beyond 54 lakhs and what kind of working capital is one expected to retain with him?
so as I mentioned, approximately 54 does not include a tailoring setup. And honestly speaking, I would not suggest a single store franchisee to have a tailoring setup also. Though he can have maybe a few machines for alteration, that doesn't matter. It comes down 20,000 or something. Another piece that this 54 does not include is the rental deposit that the franchisee pays to the landlord. So largely these two. Apart from that, everything is included. Coming to the working capital question, so for 800 square feet, the merchandise requirement would always be between 25 to 33, 34 lakhs, depending on what season he is. So pre-Diwali, undoubtedly everybody needs to stock up. At that point, it may increase a bit, but largely in the range of 25 lakhs, I would say.
And you have considered a period of how many months for the working capital?
So that's what I mentioned when I when I answered Gaurav. It would be approximately 7.5 months of stocks.
Okay, helpful. And Saurabh, you did mention about tailoring. You said we can even have a tie-up. So when a franchisee has a tie-up, what kind of training is given to these tailors? Because they're not exclusively for the brand. Right?
So see, one of the staffs of the tailor would always be in the store. That is included in the salary part. And mostly what happens in most of our units in the stores, that there's some earning from tailoring also. So for instance, if I charge say 500 rupees for a shirt sitting out in a store in Nagpur, what a tailor takes is approximately 350. 150 goes to the franchisee. So there is additional income depending on 25 to 40%, I would say, on the tailoring revenues also. So tailor's manpower cost also gets from that variable cost of 350, 400 rupees that the franchisee pays to the tailor. And those particular guys who are in the store for taking the measurements, etc., 24/7 are given training from our end. So how to take training, and that tailor also does a agreement with the vendor based out of Hyderabad who provides us with the trims and threads.
Okay. So another question which I want to pick up is on the cities. I understand, Linen Club, I think when we're doing the download, understood this is in fact the largest chain of linen globally as an exclusive brand outlet. And clearly in India also you have 200 outlets which are operating in all regions with maybe a higher concentration in south of India. But maybe, for maybe the convenience of the people who have come in, because I see inquiries which are coming from specific locations like Bhubaneswar, East India, North India, and also some states of and cities out of South India. Would you want to maybe give a hint of what kind of cities are we looking at to initially get into? And that will be helpful for everyone to understand one. Yeah, maybe we'll take up this first and then I come with the second.
Okay. So, yeah, you are right. We are deeply penetrated in South, and South is still a place wherein there are a lot of states, big states, a lot of high potential cities. So still we are focusing on South, because if I see the map, I still find a lot of places based out of Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana, which are pending. And a throughput per store in South is comparatively higher than in North. East is a very emerging market for us. So East, we have stores in Patna, Gaya, Muzaffarpur in Bihar, Ranchi, Dhanbad in Jharkhand, Bhubaneswar, Cuttack in Odisha, and Calcutta in West Bengal. All these stores, and Guwahati also, in fact. So all these stores are having decent throughputs. Obviously, Calcutta stores do fairly better. But apart from that also, Patna, Gaya, Guwahati, etc. do very well for us. So, but it is a new territory for us. So we had very limited presence, irrespective of company being based out of Calcutta, Richra. We had only stores in Calcutta. And subsequently, once we started expanding, the East stores performed better than what we had given as an ROI working to the franchisees. So the East is a fairly new market wherein we are focusing. South, from day one, we had a decent dominance, and linen as a fabric is well accepted there. So even in a city like Bangalore, for instance, I'll have around 10 stores. In Hyderabad, I have 14, 15 stores. So market potential in terms of linen, I would say, is pretty higher in South even now. And hence the first cut preference is given to expansion in Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra. Subsequently, we are also moving to other parts of the region. The whole purpose why we wanted, so in North, we have a lot of stores in Delhi, 3-4 stores in Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, Jaipur, Jalandhar, and Punjab also. So these stores are new markets, I would say, for us. We had very limited presence. When we started, we are seeing some throughputs. Undoubtedly, it will take some time to come to that range of throughputs that we receive from South. So yeah, the focus would be in South with few expansion in other territories also.
Great. Now, sort of staying on the throughput, would you want to maybe reflect upon per square feet efficiencies one can expect out of the 4 regions that you currently are present in?
I would say maybe 23, 24 in North, 28, 29 in East, similar in West, and approximately 34, 35 in South.
Okay, very helpful. And we saw that 22 company-owned stores which you are operating currently. Do you see a possibility of even converting them if there's a good franchisee which comes? Is there a possibility somebody can take an existing store and run on his own?
Maybe a few.
Okay, great. And one question, I think, well, I did see Pankaj talking about an owner-operator model where you don't need passive investors, you need people who would want to run, operate, and put their time in the business. But very specifically, based on 200 outlets which you run, is there any specific profile of people which you think do well? That is one of the questions I see coming from a couple of audience also. And do they require any kind of retail experience as well?
So retail experience, I think, would be an added advantage. But coming to the first part of the question, I think more than profile, it is more about the involvement. I have got new guys coming into the business in small markets in Kerala, very, very small markets, wherein the expected business in the proposal still I have was 4 lakhs rupees. 50 lakhs is what we projected. Rentals were around 40,000 rupees or so. So I thought generally we do not do stores which are less than 1 crore or so, but I thought, okay, let's go. The guy in the first year itself touched approximately 77. So, and he did not have any retail background. So we have various such examples, but they were always in the store, running it like a store manager themselves, talking to the consumers, taking their feedback, reflecting on that within the store. So the next time the same consumer would come, he would see that changes have happened as per my advice. And so it is, I would like to believe it is more about involvement. It is more about the services that we provide with respect to tailoring. If your tailoring has clicked, if I go through my list of stores, if the tailoring is good, most of the stores do good. If tailoring is bad, generally it becomes difficult.
Yes. And because 80% of your revenue or product mix is fabric, so that becomes an important. So I'll pick maybe a few more questions, Saurabh, because we already
Sure.
touching the top of the hour. We talked about online and offline current, presence, and like every company, omni-channel is the way forward. As far as EBOs are concerned, is there a differentiated product which is available at the EBO? One, and if not, is there a first at the EBO and then online? What strategy is to differentiate between these two channels?
Okay. Generally the products are for online. I would say currently we have launched another brand called Cavallo by Linen Club. That is a bigger contributor. Undoubtedly, we sell Linen Club products also online, but generally the old ones. So EBOs get it first, and subsequently it moves to online channel wherein the high discounts are given. Also, coming to the second question, is there exclusive merchandise for EBOs? The answer is we tried making it earlier. Honestly speaking, it didn't work because we did not get the MOQs also. But we have reinitiated because in the last 2 years, as Mr. Pankaj also mentioned, we have increased the EBO count a lot from 100 to approximately 200. So now it's easier for us to make something which is an exclusive line for EBOs, and that will not go to any other channel. So we are working on that. The product team is working on that.
Great, helpful. Maybe I'll pick two specific questions. One is, from our partner again in South, Mr. Amjad. He wants to know Kochi and Trivandrum, because you're already running outlets, stores there. Do you still see another outlets or scope of more outlets or stores coming up in specifically in these two locations?
Cochin, I don't think. We have many now. Trivandrum, yes.
Okay. All right. That's helpful. And the second question which I'm seeing is again from one of our partners in Bombay, Mr. Jaideep. He's particularly wanting to know if a Linen Club can also be clubbed with another Aditya Birla brand, say Alan Solly. And if the area is bigger, say 2,000 square feet, can two brands be clubbed together?
I don't think so, but I would request if Pankaj sir can answer that.
Yeah, so these are two brands which are from the same house. We want to maintain the respective brand's identity. So if the facade is big enough to accommodate breaking the store into two, we could explore that, but in Aditya Birla, we keep each business as separate. So that would be a separate discussion with the Solly team. But the probability and the possibility exists and can be explored, cannot be merged. And from the earlier point also, I would like people to notice over here, we hold integrity and ethics very close to us. So in Cochin, for example, Saurabh mentioned, if we already have partners and it is going to hurt their business, we would not want to expand our business at the cost of another partner, unless it is logically viable. So that is something that we take a lot of pride in from our ethics standpoint.
Thank you, Pankaj. Very, very helpful. Last question, Saurabh, which I want to pick up is on the CapEx support. You talked about 1.24 lakhs, which is about 155 rupees per square feet, which is invested by the company. How is this invested and what form this goes to the franchisee?
So we pay back on a quarterly basis. We pay for 5 years. So every quarter, 1.24 divided by 4, whatever is the amount.
Okay, so every quarter, starting from the very first, and this goes in the form of revenue, cash and not kind.
Cash, yeah. This goes in the form of cash.
All right, great, very helpful, Saurabh. I think we're coming to a close, and I see a lot of questions still pouring in. And if I can request, we pick up one of the dates in the coming week where we can bring in maybe specific interest from the locations and filter also the profile of people who have written to us and reach out to you. Would you want to maybe give a date that you're available sometime in the mid of the coming week? If that's suitable to you, we can block and maybe even announce and take.
So maybe second half Wednesday works for me.
Sure. So Wednesday is 21st.
Take 2 dates. We can do Wednesday second half and maybe Thursday sometime also if you have the.
Thursday, my calendar is actually blocked from 2:30 to 5:30.
Maybe Friday then. No problem. We can take 2 dates. We can give
Yeah.
some.
That's possible. Friday we can take.
Wednesday and Friday are 2 dates we will do a discovery day, and we will certainly make sure that as we understand that this is, the selection is very important for the team. They don't just want to get somebody on board, as Pankaj said. It's important that the entrepreneur really comes in. The whole idea of large companies franchise is not really for capital. They franchise purely because they need somebody to have a much stronger contribution and participation in the last mile consumer experience. And that's how the companies would really open up and partner with you. It's a great opportunity, very stable opportunity, very proven opportunity, market leadership in the category, and now with a very fresh and approach to the business. So this is a good opportunity, and especially with COVID going on, a lot of people, property owners, are themselves looking to start. So it's a great opportunity for them because they can be done. Good opportunity for seasoned retailers because they can add this in a portfolio. We have some good retailers, people who have been running businesses with Titan and other players. They're now coming to us and say, we want to expand our portfolio because they see a good time to acquire strategic real estate, because a good retailer understands this arbitrage would stay with you next 5, 9, 10 years. So if I take 3 plus 3 plus 3, 9-year kind of lease, and if I'm taking it at 20% less today with what is going on, this 20% impact your 9 years of earning, right? So if you see from a perspective, this becomes a very interesting opportunity, and intelligent people would like to invest into good locations and retail right now, because they're going to be making a lot of money in 2021, 2022, just because of that. Because the only component which changes and breaks your business model in retail is cost of occupancy. And cost of occupancy at this stage is giving you advantage of, I personally feel, about 25% in some cases, 15% in some cases, 15 to 25% value you can get in cost of occupancy if you start now. Any last comments before we close? Pankaj, starting from you, anything you want to say?
Nothing really. I think we've said it all. We just want to reiterate that people think through, and what you brought up is very valid. These are times where if you make a good investment, it's a wrong comparison to make because you can't time the stock market, but you can time retail. And this time is right for the property market to be at its probably lowest, especially retail property. And whether it's us or somebody else, I think any investor would look for stability, ethics, and a strong product. And we pride our ability on all of those. Yes, we are a little picky about our partners, and we will remain so because we want to be in long-term business and we want our partners to do well. They're an extension of the company. And Saurav on one of his slides showed, brand, logo, etc., 4 points. So I think a good partner is equally important in building the business. And hence we are a little selective about the people that we will work with.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, Saurav, you want to add? Jatin, you want to say anything?
No, I think everything's already said by Saurav and Pankaj. So as they pointed out, we are looking for right partners and to expand further in various territories in India. And we look forward to getting good number of leads from good partners post this webinar. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for the team and for joining us and getting into suits on Sunday and coming and presenting on our webinar. Over to you, Sonia, for your last remark, and Archana.
Thank you so much, Pankaj and Saurabh. I think this was very, very enlightening, the entire presentation. And I would just, add one comment. Most of the successful brands, they focus on users and not buyers. And focusing, their brands in the minds of, not on the minds of people, but in the lives of customers rather. And that's what Linen Club has done. And you've created a more experiential interface with the investors, or I would say consumers, your end consumers, than just being a transactional company is what I could even understand. I think 2015 is when you evolved the brand and changed the logo, touch and feel. So, and the last thing is trust. I think today people are choosing brands based on the trust they have on companies, and which, your brand stands maybe at the epitome of that. So wishing you all the best, and we'll also take maybe a very responsible decision when we bring these investors to you, because this is a long heritage which you have retained over so many years, also brought in the modern day relevance by evolving your product and also partners, and we'll keep that intact and also consider when we bring prospective profile of people across to you. Thank you. And with this, over to you, Archana.
So please accept our thanks, Mr. Pankaj, Mr. Saurabh and Jatin. You really worked hard in preparing all the presentation for this particular webinar. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much, our panel member, for sharing their advice and word of caution with us. Last but not the least, our dear attendees who have joined this particular webinar and have understood end-to-end about the product. You can connect with Franchise India team at our business hotline number, which is 9717683838. That's the number where we invite all the suggestion and feedback, because your suggestion, your valuable feedback will help us in improving our process. You can share your detailed profile, your property details, your queries at the same business hotline number. We request to save it in your phone book so that through regular broadcast messages, you'll receive updates from our side. Also, management team of Franchise India is available at LinkedIn. That's the information on your screen. You can connect with them to share your queries, any other information. Now, this is special Sunday and Sunday. Today's Sunday is totally packed with all the brand information. You go enjoy your lunch. Join us today at 3 p.m. for East India Franchise Show, where we are providing information and representing top 10 popular brands. This is our East India Show. We are inviting you for the same at the same business hotline number. You can get a registration link. And in evening, we are inviting you from 5:30 to witness the great webinar where our aim, in association with Goel Ganga Group Franchise India, is inviting you for Nagpur show. Again, we are presenting some of the very renowned brands, and you will notice their journey. So your Sunday is totally with us, where we invite you for the East India show as well as Nagpur show. And tomorrow, again, for our regular business opportunity with Chai webinar series, which is always at 12 o'clock, we are inviting you for brand Crease, where the team is coming and presenting their business model, franchisee model for each one of you. So please do not miss this chance, your time to get information about for 25 plus brands between Sunday and Monday. We wish you to join us for all these 3 webinars, these 3 summits. Thank you once again for joining us today. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, friends.